that's a lot of that situation keeps a lot of us apart. Or
Yes.
keeps us separated.
Yes.
Because we get in our mind, no, I'm gonna hold to my reservation.
Right.
I'm not gonna do what they're allowing to do over here.
Right.
So you kind of separate yourself instead of saying, you know what, it's not really that bad. I understand what they're doing or see what they're going through. But once you get to a certain understanding, then you will say, okay, well, they're doing that. I understand that they're doing it because their soul has to experience whatever they need to experience.
And the word, separation, it's very elusive.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's very elusive. That word I know I'm using it right, because you may think it's like, let's say we're in the United States and there's laws that's being passed, there's things that's being allowed in schools. The biggest thing now is the GLBTQ and all the extra letters or whatever that's attached to. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't keep up with this stuff. But you have people saying, "Oh, they're trying to force this on me," right?
Right.
No, you want your child to be in school.
Right.
So there's other means to teach your children. Homeschooling, tutelage, private schooling, whatever the case may be. I'm not here to argue someone's financial ability to provide this, but if it was that serious,
right,
you could pull your child out of school legally and do it another way. So it's elusive because you may in your mind think you're being separate, but you still live in the United States of America. You still, and this is not everybody. I know people live off the grid and they have private communities and whatever, but for everybody else, you still go shopping. So you're buying from someone that you may discriminate for whatever your reasons are against their lifestyle.
Right.
You still work somewhere. And again, I'm not speaking to everybody. So you rub shoulders with these people at work. I'm not saying you're friendly with them. I'm saying you go to work. So again, this concept of separation in the Western, it's a construct.
Right. And I think going on the construct, you have these constructs in each and every country. Because you just brought up these laws, right?
Yes.
And I was just looking at a video this morning, actually, about Japan and their laws over there. Mm-hmm. So one of the laws the guy brought out was a person at age 13 can consent to sex.
Okay.
Which you can't. That's not even possible over here. That's not even going to work. But within these different constructs that we have, you can see how different each construct is, which keeps you from coming together or just being separate from each other.
I mean, that's, I think that's gonna continue to advance in theory, because I mean the bottom line is everybody has a different opinion about how things, whatever the things are, how they should go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
It's inevitable. You know what I mean? So it kind of just is what it is. But what I will say is kind of similar to what my brother said, is like, you can make a decision about where you fit in the spectrum.
Right. Because like you say, you can always move. You know what I mean? You can go somewhere else.
And, logistically that might present some challenges, right?
Right.
But if you are firm in your opinion, right, you're going to make it do what it's got to do.
Yeah.
If that's what you wants to do.
Because I think we all been there. I know I've been there. I've separated myself from certain things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm like, I'm not about to do that.
I mean,
I used to do that, but I'm not about to do that.
I think we do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's there's certain frequencies that either you align with
or you don't.
or you not aligned with.
Right.
Now, kind of segue into the topic, right?
Yes, sir.
What's
Go
what's y'all's understanding on said paradox, the love and light, and the negative side of that,
Okay.
in terms of a expressionary concept from source that emanates from source.
Okay.
Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
Say the first part again.
What is your understanding of love and light and the negative aspect
Okay.
as an expressionary concept from the creator?
All right. So if
Oh wait,
go
and
ahead.
like what, if you think that's important, like why? If you feel like you can answer that question.
If we're talking about an all or concept of a supreme or absolute source of everything, it has give me a second. If it's I can't tell you the why that source would want to emanate in multiple expressions of itself. And the only thing I could say is to truly know itself in every way possible, which is what we do. We said this last podcast. Yeah. It's like saying I am and I exist. What can I become? And as I become, every aspect of myself becomes and asks itself the same question, all the way down, using the terms of direction, to us, the souls inhabiting these human bodies, these physical bodies. And just as those beings of light that want to create from the same or from the distortion, and distortion is not bad, from the distortion of the one great light, you have these other aspects, these other creations of love, extending that love outward and making dimensions and universes. Just like any curious being is, anybody that you know that's curious, it's like, well, what it'd be like if I go do that,
right,
instead of doing that,
right.
And the source doesn't stop itself because it wants to know. It allows.
Right.
That is love in itself.
Right. It loves
so
itself.
If we change the word from source to love, right? Love is learning more about love in every possible way that it could learn.
Right.
And in part of that way to love is to say, you know what? I want to see what it feels like not to be of love or not to be love, if there could even be such a thing.
That. Right.
And in the love of the source, it allows those aspects of itself to go, experiment or create realms and dimensions of feeling what it is like not to love.
Kind of brings highlights a saying that the old folks used to say, accept what God allows.
Accept what God allows. Explain that.
I mean, what can you really do about what happens?
Right. Okay.
You can't. I mean, well, you can respond.
You can respond
in several ways, right? But there's a couple of things that you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't change it.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't force it another type of way.
Right.
Really the only option you have left is to accept it.
Allow.
You know what I mean? And it's, I think, well, as you, and we'll probably get into this later, but like in the different levels of soul progression, right? You might get stagnated in dealing with the emotions of it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? You may not, you may have too much, we may have an immense tie to the emotional clause of, like, what happens with what happens during different experiences.
Right.
As opposed to understanding that, hey, look, this is a This is a sphere of learning.
Right.
If you want to look at it like that,
Right.
you may not.
May not.
Right.
You may not. You may be like, hey, look,
This is a sphere of suffering.
right. You may not see it as
Learning.
as that.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, if I know in time y'all have listened to me and what I say, I'm always about, no, it's all love, no matter what the situation may be. And I'm kind of blunt about it. Some people may not like it, but I'm really blunt. No, it's love. Now, you may come to me and say, no, man, it's suffering. No, bro, it's love, man. And accept it as that.
Right.
But if you continue in the consciousness of suffering, that's what you're going
That's
to feel.
You're a creator. So
Right.
it is suffering if you it is because you created it.
You're creating it.
And you're accepting. You're so focused on the suffering. You're actually where your attention lies, where your energy lies.
Exactly.
So your energy is actually magnifying and creating more suffering.
Right.
So it's all consciousness. It's all conscious. But going back to the initial question, the source allows those aspects of itself to experience that negative, that realm or that dimensionality of negativity out of love.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's all love, like Joe Kane just
love.
said. But as we emanate on these lower worlds, we are so intent through our ego to separate things. We don't see love. We see love in part.
Right.
So you have love light. And when I say it, I know that it's really a spectrum, but somebody else may see it as literally love light, aka good.
Right.
Line, and then the negativity. And negativity, evil, separate. They can't touch each other. One has to be over here, a chasm, and one has to be over there.
Right.
And that's not how consciousness works.
Exactly. Which is so profound. When you in your love light, it may be seen negative to someone else,
Yes.
but it's your love light.
It's my love light.
So in that line,
And this is the paradox we were
that-
talking about.
in that line, where do it not touch?
Well,
You're
here's
trying to just bring it over here and just pull it right on out, but you can't.
You can't.
Because it's love light to him. And somebody else may say, no, brother, that's negative. Well, that's a negative thing. But that's love light.
And then
it's no different than the expression of who you are.
right.
Right.
Right? There are qualities about you that are dormant. You don't see them every day, but they there.
They there.
They're not separate from the expression of Malak, Zakane, Kazak that is having this experience.
Right.
But they may be dormant.
Right.
They may be less active than some of the more favorable or what we would probably consider to be favorable expressions of who you are.
Right.
Nonetheless, they are multiple ideas that explain the one.
Yes.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, tell me about your personality. Well, I'm this, I'm that. I feel this way about this. I feel this way about that.
Right.
I like this. I like that. I don't like this. So on and so forth.
Right.
The list goes on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's there.
Right.
Psychologists have several ways to describe a person. Just look at the DSM.
Right.
It's all kind of stuff up in there. That says that, you know what? If you can't stop playing with stuff, fidgets, right? They got a term for that.
Right.
And that term is an expression of, and guess what?
A state of mind.
A state of mind.
Consciousness.
Right? And a bunch of people have agreed and said, you know what? You're right. We're going to put that in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's there.
Definitely there.
And I think the major attachment is to the fact that it's something that's material
Right.
Or matter.
or matter.
Cause man, we say, like we was talking off camera earlier, we was talking about these things that we say.
Right.
And we always say, that don't matter. Yeah, it does. Everything is matter. Where you at right now is matter. So you can't. You understand what I'm saying? So it's you either